Hello, everyone. Um, Glad to have Mrs. Fiyin Toyo join us finally. Um, so everyone watching us, welcome to tonight's edition of um, Impact Bootcamp 2.0. We are set to go, and we are rounding up um, this evening or this afternoon, regardless of wherever you're joining us from. Um, I'm super delighted to have Mrs. Fiyin Toyo join us today. Looking forward to the power pack session. Um, you can see a whole lot of value sparked in what she'll be sharing with us today. And I personally look forward to learning a lot. She's a founder of Empower You Career Consulting, and she's the category marketing manager at Godrej Africa, USA and Middle East. She's a chartered marketer, um, and she has a diploma in professional marketing. So she's the best, one of the best I've listened to. If not the best, I think she's the best I've listened to um, on this subject of using LinkedIn to learn multinational jobs. I'll be handing over to her shortly, and I want to encourage everybody to come with your questions towards the end of this session. Towards the end of this session, we'll be having a question and answer session. She'll be here with us for 1 hour 30 minutes. She'll talk for 1 hour 30 minutes, and afterwards we'll have a question and answer session. And feel free to drop your questions in the comment sections for those following on YouTube. Feel free to drop your comment section for those following here as well. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for the commencement of this session. Thank you because there's so much that you have in store for us. Thank you because of the insights and the wisdom that you are going to bless us with this session. And so, Father, we ask that all that we learn today will be of benefit to us, and that you will help us to make good use of all that we learn today. Amen. And, over to you, ma. This is me. Can you hear me?
All right. Thank you so much, and good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on what country you're joining from. Apologies for joining late. I was having a bit of a challenge. I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
No worries. So good evening. So thank you so much for having me. I'm super grateful and excited and really honored to have this opportunity. Before we kick off, I first of all need to apologize for two things. We're supposed to do this yesterday. Unfortunately, I had to travel yesterday because I got a last minute appointment. It was a medical appointment and I really just had to make it. So apologies for this and sorry for joining late. Just a few network issues, but I believe that has been sorted now by the grace of God and we're ready to kick off.
Yeah, super excited.
Yes. And again, an amazing well done to the team for what you're doing. When I saw the topic and the demographic, I honestly was shocked. I said, wow, twins and teens. I'm learning about how to get jobs, LinkedIn, all of these things. I mean, I just thought it was amazing that the organization is spending this much time empowering young individuals. It's super inspiring. When I saw some of the topics, about exploring international scholarships, how to land high income jobs, exploring opportunities. I thought to myself, wow, if I had this opportunity when I was a teenager, 20 years ago, only God knows how far I would have even gone. So thank you so much to the team that has put this together. God bless you, and may all your efforts be crowned with joy. And
Amen.
I pray that every single person that passes through these different sessions, their lives will never remain the same, because there will be such an amazing move of God in everything. And I'm very excited. I hope you can tell. I always say this anytime I speak to a group with faith. I'm always excited because, like I share, even in secular forums, is that we can do all of these things, but the most important thing is, God's favor, grace of God, and following God's calling, which is very important. So thank you so much for this. I'm going to share my screen now as we kick off. I've noticed something. Let me share. With a lot of sessions that I do, there are typically a lot of questions, and I'm so happy that you put time for questions, because it's good that we take them through. I talk a lot, so I will try my best at intervals to give opportunity, even as I'm speaking, for questions, just so I can clarify if there are any points of confusion. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Let me just share my screen so we can kick off. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about how to land a job at a multinational. I'm going to go straight into it. We're supposed to speak about LinkedIn a lot. However, I want to talk a little bit about the CV, if you would permit me, if that's okay with the team, because I think that is very important. LinkedIn, for me, I always say, is my most important marketing tool, but the CV also goes hand in hand. All right. So before we kick off, I'd like to share a little bit about my story. And, I'm always very transparent and open when it comes to things like this. The first thing that I want everyone to note, and the reason why I share this, is so that you know what I've overcome, number one, but also so that you also know that if somebody like me can achieve what I have achieved, then literally God can do it for anybody. So first of all, I didn't graduate with the very best of grades, but through the favor of God, I've been able to use LinkedIn to land multiple jobs using LinkedIn. Now, the interesting thing to note here is that these are multinational jobs, not just any job, the best of the best. And I'm sure if you've spoken to any of your family, friends, they will tell you, to get a really good job, you need to get, first class or 2-1. I work in a multinational right now. I work with people that have 2-2s, third class graduates. I even work with some people that aren't BSc graduates. Some of them just did an OND, an HND, and they were able to, get some skills and some certifications, and they're here today. Okay. Second, after I first worked at a multinational in 2014, since then, I've gone on to work at a further 3 multinationals. So I've worked in 4 multinationals in total. Guinness, Nigeria. This I got through LinkedIn. GlaxoSmithKline. This I sent my CV for the role. The third is Mondelez, also known as Cadbury. This I saw the vacancy on LinkedIn. I applied, and I was able to go through the steps to get the job. And my current role, Godrej Consumer, I was reached out to on LinkedIn by a recruiter. So of the 3 jobs I've gotten on LinkedIn, 2, the recruiter, the HR person reached out to me, and only one of them did I apply for. So I've heard people say things like, oh, LinkedIn doesn't work. It's not true. Absolutely not. It might not work for them, but it works for millions of other people. That's number one. I've also heard people say things like, oh, yeah, LinkedIn, you just have to keep applying for jobs. You can apply, but But if you've got the right profile, jobs will also reach out to you. Companies will reach out to you. Recruiters, HR personnel will reach out to you. All right. And I've also heard people say the reverse. People say, when it comes to LinkedIn, there's no point applying. No, if they don't headhunt you, they won't pick you. Absolutely not. From my story, you can see I've been headhunted multiple times, but I've also applied and gotten the job. So what we want is for us to have both, a good balance of both. You want to have a great profile on LinkedIn so that recruiters reach out to you actively, but you also want to be able to apply for jobs. Okay. There are some companies that will just put out their vacancy. They may not headhunt. They will just expect people to reach out to them because they don't really have that big of a force in human resources. So they just put out the vacancy. They don't have time. They don't have energy to start headhunting. So you need to be able to apply for those jobs. And there's some other companies that will say, no, we don't want to go through thousands of CVs. Let's look on LinkedIn and get 10 good candidates. Let's talk to them over the phone, shortlist 3 for an interview, pick 1. So we need to have a good balance of both. I hope that's clear. Alrighty. So here's a little bit about my story. And I believe, and I say this with all conviction, that yours can and will be even better. Amen. So this is the important and the pivotal part of my journey. Before December 2012, I used to work in England, and I like to focus on my career since I moved to Lagos, Nigeria, which was December 2012 up till now, because a lot of people talk about, if there's anybody on the call here that's from Africa or from Nigeria, a lot of people say things like, oh, there are no opportunities. There are no opportunities in Nigeria. There are no opportunities in Nigeria. Sometimes I wonder if, God just exists in the Western world. Does God not exist in Africa? Does God not exist in Nigeria? In India and all these other countries? Absolutely, he does, right? People are getting the best of jobs in these companies, in these countries. People are enjoying, they're living life of purpose, they're succeeding, they're building businesses, charities all over the world, okay? So, like the Bible said, remember what the Bible said about Isaac, that, Isaac prospered even in the time of famine. And so for me, I take that to mean that no matter what is going on, in fact, people send me messages all the time, can you see what's going on in Nigeria? Fuel. It doesn't get to me because I know that with everything that is going around, no matter what, I know that I'm covered. And this has been the journey. I started in 2012 at a company called Sponge, which was a small business. Now, I need to share something very important about Sponge. Sponge was a small business. At the time, I wasn't getting paid much. It was very, very little. But the reason why I joined this company was because they had a lot of big clients. So they had clients like Coca-Cola. They had clients like the big telcos in Nigeria. And I knew that working with Sponge would expose me to multinational and international clients. I knew that I would get an experience that I possibly couldn't get anywhere else at that time in my career, because I was still young in my career. And so a lot of the big agencies would need you to have worked for a long time before they expose you to clients. But this was a small company. There were only about 4 of us when I started. So I knew they needed all hands on deck. So this was the perfect opportunity for me to start my career in Nigeria and build a brand. As soon as I started, within 6 months, I knew I wanted to go for a multinational. I just knew it. Every time I checked the vacancies, I saw the grade requirements and I said, oh my days, I don't think this is something I'm cut out for. And then during my time, there's something I don't do. I don't give up, okay? When it comes to things like this, I don't give up. So the Holy Spirit prompted me, keep doing your research. And I realized that those grade requirements were only for people that had recently graduated. If I had some level of experience, then what companies focused on was what I bring to the table in terms of my experience, as opposed to my grades. So I decided I was going to spend 2 to 4 years at Sponge, and I was going to bust everything I had to get awards, to work on the best projects ever, to deliver, over deliver for my clients. So I took it that Sponge was an opportunity for me to get an MBA for free because I was learning new things that I couldn't, and it was free, working on so many clients. And I took it as an opportunity to build a story for myself. So no matter how much I was being paid, every client that I got, I put 150% into it. And so what I started doing 1 year into my time at Sponge, I started updating my LinkedIn profile. So every time I got promoted, I would put it on LinkedIn. I would update my profile. Then all the projects I had worked on, I was documenting them. I was taking pictures. I was doing things, and I was posting them on LinkedIn. And a year and 5 months into my time at Sponge, Guinness Nigeria reached out to me on LinkedIn, and that's how the journey to working there started. This was May 2014. You know, now prior to Guinness reaching out, a restaurant in Abuja also reached out to me, inviting me to manage the restaurant. At that time, at that point in time, what I wanted to earn, my dream salary, then the exchange rate from Naira to pounds was 250. My dream salary was £1,000, which was 250,000 Naira. That was my dream salary. That's all I could dream about. And this restaurant reached out to me and said they would offer me 250K, 250,000 Naira a month if I moved to Abuja. And I looked at it. You know, there's some things, I hope you don't mind if I say this, there's some things that require prayer. You see God's face. And there's some things that you know that, I beg, this one, nothing, you know, there are just some things, you know, I'm not even going to bother God with prayers, asking God to explain this to me. I knew this is the path I'm going on when it comes to my career, a path in marketing and multinationals. And now you're calling me to be a restaurant manager. You're going to give me the financial benefits that I want, but it's not on the journey to where I want to go. It was a no-brainer to say no if I had to follow my career. But for somebody that needed money, it would have been a no-brainer to say yes. And I did need the money, but I chose to do the painful thing, to reject the offer and keep striving, keep, you know, hustling at Sponge until the Guinness offer came. And it didn't come for many months, but I'm happy that I endured, because I've seen people choose temporary gain. I've seen people move jobs for an extra 10%, 20%, even though the job is going to take them away from their destiny, from their purpose, from their career plans. But they do that for the extra buck, and then they end up in a rabbit hole. And that's something I didn't want to do. I knew that every job that I was going to take was a job that was taking me closer to my destiny, and I wasn't taking it for monetary gain. I have never, from 2012 till now, this is 11 years later, I have not made any of these jobs you can see on this timeline. Not one have I accepted because, oh, it's going to be a higher salary increase. Every single one I've gone for has been because this is taking me on the journey to El Dorado. And I advise everyone here, in the initial stages of your career, I know we're still young and, you know, God willing, we start building our careers. In the initial stages of your career, focus on learning as much as possible. Learn, yeah, get money to pay your bills. You definitely need money to pay your bills, but the focus should be on learning, so that you're learning, and you're growing. Then as you learn, you grow, you start to add value, impact, you start to get recognized. Then at that point, you can start earning. Once you start earning, don't make decisions based on money if you don't have to. I know sometimes you might be in circumstances that are beyond your control, but if you can, let your decisions be beyond money and let them be about the higher purpose of your career. That way you can never go wrong. When I get a job offer, the first thing I say is it taking me where I need to go? And that has been the journey that I've been on so far. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I know we have an international audience here, so do forgive me that these numbers are in Naira. But basically, before we carry on, I just want to share a little bit about what you can get when you move to a multinational. So typically, a healthier salary, than a lot of the small businesses. In some markets, you get a car or car allowance, housing allowance every year, leave allowance. So when you go on leave and you go on your vacation, you get an allowance. You get annual bonuses that are performance related. In some markets in Africa, in Netherlands, you get a 13th month, which means that there are 12 months of the year, but you get an extra month salary, typically in November or December. In a lot of multinationals as well, you can get home ownership schemes, car ownership loans, and so on. And the beauty of multinationals as well is that when you work with the right one and you have the right role, you get the opportunity to travel. So, for example, between August and now, I've been on 8 trips at work. Yeah. So between August and July alone, so in 11 months, I've been on 8 work trips to, multiple countries, to Ghana, for example, to India, South Africa, Kenya, and so on. So, and in another organization where I worked, GSK, I got the opportunity to go to Turkey, to Pakistan, to Kenya, South Africa again. And when you're traveling, it means that you're getting more exposure for your own experience. But it also means you're getting access to a network of global colleagues and friends and so on, okay? And another thing that is very, very beneficial about working at multinationals is that you get a lot of education, a lot of training, so much training that sometimes you will even be ungrateful and say, God, I'm tired. Oh, hey, this one is too much. You're constantly being trained. If it's not physical, it's online. Sometimes it's books, sometimes it's sessions. In June, I was in a 4-day training session in India. Last year, November, same thing. I was in Kenya for 1 week training. I've got another one coming up soon. So there will always be continuous improvement and education, okay? Now, I'd like you to tell me, if you don't mind, if this is okay, using the chat function, has anybody here heard any myths about working at multinational? And I'm being very open and honest here. And I need to say this because this is a group of Christians, right? And, we need to we need to be honest with ourselves. So do you mind using the chat function just to share, if there's anything that you've heard about working at a multinational? Any myths? Has anybody told you any negative things? Are there any stereotypes that you've heard that you're used to? Please do share in the chat. I've had to come out of presentation mode because I couldn't see the chats. Okay. Says getting a job there is hard. You need connections. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this is one that I'm sure that everybody has heard, right? And there's so many other myths. You hear things like, oh, you need a first, you need a 2-1, so many other things of that sort. Okay, so let me just go back into full screen mode. Oops, sorry, just a second. So you hear these negative things, right? And a lot of people believe them. So people believe things. I mean, there's a lady that was my friend, good Christian. And I saw this opportunity and I told her, she wanted to change jobs. I said, why don't you apply for this? And the first thing she asked me was, do you know anybody there? And I actually responded. I said, yes. I didn't know any human person there. And I said to her, yes. Because if I said no, she wouldn't have applied. So I said, yes. She said, thank you. And when she was done, she applied. I said to her, yes, the person I know there is Jesus. And she laughed. I said, yes. If you keep expecting to know people, then you are putting yourself in a box. And, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So the moment, and life and death and power of the tongue, we know this. So the moment you say, if I don't know somebody, I can't get this job, that is what's going to be your outcome. That will happen because your tongue has said it and your tongue is powerful. Okay, so you don't need to know anybody. You don't need a first class, you don't need a 2-1. I've heard people say things like, oh, what if you need a master's? Now, let me place a caveat. For the international audience, you're lucky. I mean, I've worked overseas, I've worked in England, and I know that in a lot of companies in the Western world, over 90% of the staff don't even have a postgrad. I mean, I've worked in a very, very reputable recruitment company, and a lot of the recruiters didn't even have first degrees, but they were amazing at what they did. How much more a master's? Very few people have masters overseas. Now, in some African companies, they make some rules like, oh, before we promote somebody to a senior manager, they need to have a master's and so on. But in a typical multinational, this is not the case, because these multinationals, happen to be in multiple markets, and their lead markets are typically in the Western world, where people do not even have a master. So it's not compulsory. Then I hear people say things like, oh, you need to go to school abroad, you need to go to an Ivy League school. Nope. People have reached out to us on our Instagram page to say, oh, this company, they're recruiting, they've asked me to pay $500, they've asked me to pay 400,000 naira. Should I go ahead? And I'm like, why would you go ahead? Because I feel like I need to pay. If I don't pay, I won't be able to get the job. And of course, the world will tell you things like, oh, you need to sleep with somebody, you need to do these, sinful and negative things to get a job. Absolutely not. I can tell you that I've gotten multiple job offers. Some of them I've rejected, some of them I've resumed without knowing anybody, without paying anybody, without sleeping with anybody, without doing anything that was against my morals, values, anything. And so you do not need that either, okay? So in this journey, you see, when people talk about, oh, let's get a job, how to get a job, sometimes we're so focused on, oh, what should I do? What about the company? But let me tell you the truth. One of the biggest loopholes or blind spots, should I say, that people don't see is themselves. How do you become multinational employee material? I always say there are 5 key things for me. Number 1, pick a career. A lot of the time, when I ask people, what do you want to do? What kind of job are you looking for? Do you know what they say? Any job, any job. I'm like, how can you say any job? So if I got your job as a cleaner, would you take the job? No. So you can't say any job. What job is it? Then they say any good job. Okay. Uber drivers make a lot of money. It's a good job. They're comfortable. They're doing it at their own time. Do you want to be an Uber driver? No, that's not what I mean. Any good job in a corporate environment. Okay. Can you be an engineer? No. Why? You don't have qualifications. So what is it you want? Be specific. You know how even the Bible says, write down the vision and make it plain. So make it plain. What is it you want to do? I knew I wanted to go into marketing, and I was crystal clear about it. So the older you get, the more in tune you need to become to understand, what is it that I want to pursue? And pick one thing. As you're young, it's good, explore multiple things, and then as you get older, when it gets to that point, I want you to single in on one thing, okay? Now, the next step, when you know that one thing you want to do, let's imagine that it's finance, is using LinkedIn. Go on LinkedIn and find multiple finance vacancies. Go through them, right? Check the job descriptions, the JDs. Pick the best 5, the strongest 5 job descriptions. Get them. And then this is what I advise people to do. Print them out. Get a highlighter. Literally, get a highlighter. And then highlight what the 5 job descriptions have in common. You will find commonalities. You will find themes, patterns in all 5. They might say understanding of profit and loss management. They might say good accounting standards. You will see some things in common. Once you know what those things are in common, it's sending you a message. Does anybody want to know what the message is? It's telling you to be a finance manager or finance executive, you need to have those things. So whatever the things are, If it's 10 of them, identify them, the experience, because they might tell you, oh, to be a finance manager, you need 2 years working as a finance assistant. That's signaling to you, you need to start looking for jobs as a finance assistant. Skills, they will tell you the skills that you need. You need to understand, you need to run P&L analysis, you need to understand cost accounting and so on and so forth. So you know the skills. It can even tell you Excel skills, Power BI to project your financial analysis, different bits. It will give you, it will even give you some knowledge requirements. Put all of those, and once you know these are the skills, this is the experience and the knowledge I have, then you know what you need to work on. You know, oh, I'm not good at Excel, I need to go and learn Excel. Okay, so when I started this journey, I knew that one of the things I needed to have was an understanding of media. I didn't have any understanding of media. So I got a colleague of mine to teach me. It was a whole day session, media crash course, and I was able to learn enough to get by. So that's the point. The point of this is to do an analysis to see what you're good at, what you're not good at, and go to close the gaps. Okay. And the last but not the least is checking your values. Values are very, very important. You know, and when I talk about values, it's not just enough to say I'm a Christian. I mean, I'm sure we all work with Christians, and a lot of us identify as Christians, but if not for us calling ourselves Christians, nobody would look at us and say, hey, this person is a Christian, because of our values, right? It's very, very important. For me, to succeed in your career, it's very, very important to have the right values. And guess what? I'm happy that I'm speaking to a group of Christians, because there's nothing here when it comes to values that I'm going to share that you probably don't already know. So let's talk about the values that I need to drop. First of all, what are the values I have right now that I need to drop? The first one is, let me just do it, Joe. Anyhow. They've given me a job to do. They've asked me to do a presentation. Oh, well, I'll just put something together and send it. How much are they even paying me? They're paying me peanuts, Joe. I'm sure you know that that's not how the Bible has instructed us to act as Christians, right? The Bible does say that, you know, whatever your hands find to do it well, do it excellently. Okay. Remember the parable of talents and what happened. So when I talk about values, I mean, all of this is in the Bible. This is not even a Christian deck or anything, but these are real things that the Bible has told us. Your resumption time is 8 a.m. and you say to yourself, 8 a.m. 8 a.m. is too early, my friend. I'll get there at 10, Joe. The deadline is 5 p.m. I'll send it tomorrow, Joe. They should calm down. No. The company has given you 2 million naira to plan end of year Christmas party. 2 million naira. And you find vendors, the cheapest vendors whatsoever, that will do a shoddy job. And the cost comes to 1.2 million. Let's even use dollars. Since we have a global audience here, $5,000 to plan a nice Christmas party. You find some vendors, you got some friends, you've been able to put something together, and the total cost is $3,000. Ideally, what you should do is declare to the company, we have savings of $2,000. What would you like to do? Should we do? These are my suggestions. Let's plow it back, or let's do some prizes, end of year prize giving for the staff, blah blah blah. But you decide to keep it. Again, let's look at the 10 commandments. Your company sells electronics or fixes electronics, right? And you, an engineer. So the next thing you start to do is start calling the customers and say, hey, this thing you're trying to fix is $20. I'll do it for you for $5. Come. That's not the right thing. You're taking customers for yourself. You know, you're cheating the company. Another attitude that it's not good is, I'm here to work, and I'm just going to go. I'm here at 9 a.m. I leave at 5. I don't care about anybody. I'm just going to go. Even the Bible says we show ourselves friendly, right? The other attitude that we need to drop, because many of us have this attitude. Sometimes it happens to me. Sometimes I say, oh, how much are they even paying me? Oh, I beg, I can't be bothered. How many of us have said this? Please, let's be honest. We've said this. This is not the right attitude. So people do not have a job. Some people, God forbid, are lying in sick beds. So people are lying in the hospitals. If they could get out of that hospital bed and go to work for free, they would literally pay to be able to go to work every day. Yet we have the opportunity and we're just hissing and we're ungrateful. Company needs volunteers for stuff. I can't help. Oh, I can't work late. The other one that we need to drop is you have this mindset that, oh, this company, I can't get a good break here. I'm never going to progress here. Again, life and death are in the power of the tongue. If you say that, so shall it be. Right? You say that, oh, this place is going to be hard for me. I'm not going to have a good time here. No problem. For some of you, it's, oh, once I save this amount, I'm going to leave this company. I'm going to go abroad. I'm going to Jackbar. When the company might have even better opportunities for you. Right? And for some of you, your attitude is a bit defeatist. You're working in a company, you're not getting the best, you're putting in the work, right? And you say to yourself, oh, I'm just gonna manage. There's nothing I can do. I can't get a new job. Let me just stay here, and you're just complacent about it. Some of you have said things like, even if I'm treated badly here, I'm just gonna take it. Whatever happens, it is what it is. And for some, it's, I hate this job so much. The next job that comes through, I'm out of here, man. They're gonna see the back of me. Any offer I see like this, I go take them. Which shouldn't be the case, because you might jump this. You know what we Africans say, from frying pan to fire. You might be jumping from frying pan to fire. So you don't just take any offer. Take an offer that is going to give you better cultural experience and take you closer to your goals. And then last but not least, some of us, we're so mean at work. And we have a justification. I'm just like this. It's in my blood. I'm just wicked. I'm just a mean person. So what are the values we need to adopt? Number one is the spirit of excellence. The spirit of excellence, right? The spirit of hitting your deadlines, your goals, and surpassing them. So if your boss gives you a deadline for 9 a.m., you submit it the day before. 5 p.m., submit it in the morning. Don't wait till that 5 p.m. That's what some people live for. We'll say, God, I wish we had more time. We say we are Christians. Do you know what a Christian is? Many of us say we're Christians, but at the workplace we are last. That's not Christianity. Christianity is an exercise in excellence, because we are like Jesus. Jesus was excellent in everything. Christian means Christ-like. So I can't imagine if Jesus was on earth and he had a job and he'd be submitting his work projects late. It's not possible. Do you understand? Jesus was selfless, right? So we need to hit and surpass those deadlines. Contribute ideas. You're in a workplace, you have nice ideas. You say, no, I'm not going to give it to them because they won't pay me for my ideas. No. Once a company is paying you for your time, even Jesus says, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, right? If a company is paying for your time, that salary at the end of the month, that means your ideas, give it to them, give it your all. And then somebody might say, but they're not going to give me anything. See, whatever you do it as you're doing it unto God. Okay? And some of us, if they ask you, what's your company's vision statement? What's your company's mission? What does your company want to achieve in 5 years? We don't even know. We're not connected to the larger vision. We need to be. Okay? We need to be. Excuse me. We need to connect to the vision of the company. Your company is running a new project. They need volunteers. They need volunteers who are willing to help. And you decide not to volunteer. When I worked at Sponge, which was a small company, they needed a volunteer to help them organize their monthly team bonding. Nobody was putting it forward. So I decided, I volunteered anyway, because I love things like that. I've always been a social prefect. Right from primary school, I was social prefect in primary school. A-level, when I went to university, I was social prefect of the Afro-Caribbean Society. So for me, it was nothing. So I started the process of doing that for the company, right? Of organizing the social events for the company. It was fantastic. From there, I was able to get good connections with vendors, all over Nigeria, all over Lagos. And even after I left the company, then it became such a successful event, monthly event, that everybody wanted to be involved. It became a legacy event for the company years after I left. I mean, um, 10 years after I joined last year, we had a reunion. People were still talking about that event, right? And here's the interesting thing. Because of the experience and the skills I had gathered from doing it, I was able to, when I moved to Multinational and they were organizing their annual retreat, I was put on the committee to contribute. I did so well that the next year they made me the head of the committee and I won an award for it with a lot of cash. Okay, so sometimes in that place of volunteering, you develop skills that will open doors for you in the future. Okay, become a leader, become a leader, lead people, follow the vision and lead others. Speak up when something is not right. Speak up. Be a Christian, be an inherently good person, have integrity. If something costs $10, it's $10, not 15, not 20, right? And you need to realize that while this company you're working there, you need to have your own vision. Why am I here? What is the path that I'm on while I'm here? Okay. You need to own your job and your career, and you need to learn from other people's mistakes. Speaking of other people's mistakes, when I joined Sponge, a lot of the people were also young, and they said to me, oh, they asked me how much I was being paid, and I told them that I was being paid 60,000. I know it's small. This is what I said to them. I know it's small, but I was told that it's just for a trial. After 6 months of probation, if I do well, my salary will be increased. That's what I said. And all the young people say, yes, we were told the same thing, and our salary was never increased. And I said, oh my gosh, oh my goodness. So I spoke to my mom. My mom said, why are you worried? That's them, not you. That's not your destiny. You will do something different. And my mom said, you know what? In the 5th month, they said 6 months probation. In the 5th month, send an invite to the boss, the managing director of the company. Tell him you want to have a review of your performance and your salary. So I did that. I sent him a meeting invite. He was shocked. He didn't respond for days. I kept chasing him up, following him, spirit of boldness. And he finally accepted. When I went into the meeting fully prepared with prayers and everything, I said, boss, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been amazing. I've learned so much. I've done this. I've done that. I said everything I had learned, everything I had, added value. And I said, when I joined, you said 6 months probation and that my salary would be reviewed. I'd like to check with you how I'm doing, what your feedback is, because I have other opportunities that I'm looking out for. With the way I packaged myself in that meeting, my boss was like, yeah, thank you very much. My salary was doubled. That had never happened to anybody in the company. Never. Because I learned from other people's mistakes. Other people waited. They said we'll increase your salary after 6 months, 3 months. They waited, they didn't ask, right? What does the Bible say? Ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be open. And that's what I did. I asked, I sought, and I knocked, and the answer came. Okay. And I strived. I said, look, these people have increased my salary. I'm not going to disappoint them. I'm not going to make them say, this one is not even worth it. I did everything. I decided that I was going to treat that company as though it was mine. And surely I did. Giving it 120%. I was super obsessed with delivering value. I just wanted to be my best and to make the company a better place. But look, I made sure that I asked for what I deserved. I asked when it was time for salary increases. I went to meet the company. I said, guys, let's talk about the salary increase. I didn't stay silent, okay? And I paid it forward. Everybody that needed help, everybody that needed coaching, I would always be there for them. I would always raise them and say, I would always speak up, okay? And last but not the least is that you need to believe and dream big. The people that are doing great things don't have two heads. If you ask my husband, he would always tell you the best thing about me, the thing that he likes most about me, is that nothing is impossible to me. And I think that's an important trait for everybody to have. That's an important value, is that you know that with God, all things are possible. And God can do exceedingly abundantly above all you could ever ask or imagine. So it's super important, okay? So what are the steps I need to take to build my brand confidence. It's important, like I said, do an assessment of your skills, your experience. Check out your values. What are the wrong values you have? What are the good values you have? What are the ones you need to drop? What are the ones you need to adopt? Okay. And then do an assessment of your skills, the generic skills, the soft skills, and learn how to optimize them. It could be writing emails. I've seen when I worked at a company, one of my team members, she would reach out to colleagues and ask them for certain things. She wouldn't get results. And she would blame the person. And I would say, let me see the email you wrote. And I'm like, but your email doesn't tell a story. The narrative of your email is not strong. So I would compose something else and send it to her to send out. And then she would get results. Some of us need to learn how to write, how to use Microsoft Office and other tools. Okay? And for some of us, it's the fact that we don't know how to present in public. We don't know how to manage public speaking, and these are things that we should be able to do. Okay? So you need to know what those things are and, invest the time in doing them. All right? So what do I need to do next? I always say to people, you don't have to be 100% before you can start applying to jobs and opportunities. Be just like Jesus Christ. Come to Jesus as you are. It's not when you're done, when you're perfect, that you come and give your life to Christ. Jesus will say, come as you are, right? Now, when it comes to building a brand and applying for jobs, I would say at least be 70% ready. Then you can start actively building and doing job applications. What do? Make sure your LinkedIn profile is spot on. Make sure your CV is ready and tailored to the jobs that you want. Okay. Shortlist the companies and the roles you want. Write cover letters for those companies and those roles. Practice well ahead for your interviews. People don't practice for interviews. And let me tell you something. You see, that's why it's very important. I want to share something. I'm led to share. Anybody that wants to be great at interviews, practice 3 things. Practice interviews with, let's say, a friend, a mentor, a colleague. Practice, make sure you get ready for it. Prepare, practice. But you also need to pray in the spirit. When you pray in the spirit, there's so many things that happen. When you speak in tongues, you're sharpening your tongue, you're sharpening your spirit mind. Okay. And the more you speak in tongues, the more your tongue becomes like the pen of a ready writer. Right? The more time you spend, have you noticed that when you spend, I'll give you an example. I'm not, in my family, we don't typically speak. We have a broken English in Nigeria called Pidgin English. In my family, we don't typically speak Pidgin English. Nobody speaks Pidgin English in my family. I wasn't raised speaking Pidgin. But I have a lot of friends that speak Pidgin, just for fun. And so when I'm with those friends, I find that I speak Pidgin more. Okay. When I'm with my friends that speak a lot of Yoruba, which is a local language in Nigeria, I'm speaking Yoruba. When I'm with the ones that are Igbo, I'm speaking Igbo. So the more time you spend with certain people, the more you are like them. The more, if you dread interviews, let me tell you, the more time you practice, the more time you spend praying in the spirit, and last, the more time you spend praying in your understanding, the better you will be at interviews. In fact, I never thought about it, but you see, those 3 things have made me very good at interviews. The more time you spend with God, the more you become like God. That means you become more excellent, you become more fluent. But the more his face shines upon you, when you go for interviews, what people will see is favor. Your face will shine. It's a favor shield. So these are very important. Now, I'm going to say this, and I put my name there so people know. There's a whole phenomenon of paying people for your CV, for your LinkedIn, and all of those things. My company used to do it, and one day we said we're not going to do it again, because we had 2 services. We used to help people prepare their CV, their LinkedIn, and things like that. And we had another service which was teach people what they need to do and let the people do it themselves. And guess what? You cannot believe which one had a higher success rate. The people we taught had a much higher success rate than the people we did it for. And there's so many reasons for that. Number one is that sometimes when we do the CV for people, they might not get that first job. It might be the second or the third. But once you've done it for them, they don't tailor their CV for subsequent vacancies. But the person that you've taught, they apply for this job, they might get it, they may reject it. But they have the skills to change their CV over and over again for multiple jobs. So now they can apply for thousands as they like. And it's just this principle of instead of giving a man fish, teach him to fish. So my company, the business stopped. When people reach out to us, say they want to CV LinkedIn, they're willing to pay any amount. We thank them, we wish them well, and say, look, if you don't have the ability to write your own CV, cover letter, or LinkedIn profile, you may not be ready for a multinational job. Because the skills you need to do that are the same skills you will need to succeed at a multinational. At multinationals, you will need to write business justifications, business cases. You will need to write stories, tell stories. If you cannot package yourself in your CV or LinkedIn, how will you package yourself at a multinational? People think that when you enter multinational, life has started. The testimony is not finished yet. You need to succeed and get promoted. It's not just to enter and clap. No, the journey is just starting. Even for marriage, they tell you the wedding day is just the beginning of the assignment. We congratulate them on the wedding, but we pray that they'll be successful in the marriage. There's one thing, people have entered multinationals and they've left in shame. So please, it's very important, okay? I hope we're still together. Okay. Now, why do you need to? I always say that people should start, if you're looking for a job, start early. Start early. Always prepare well ahead of time. Preparation is key. Think of the story of the virgins. Preparation is key. Let me share some interesting facts with you. Vacancies are not up for long. Vacancies are not up for long. So when you see a job vacancy, your CV is not ready, your LinkedIn profile is not ready, you're like, oh, let me go and put it together. The time you go and put it together, you don't finish, it's gone. It's gone. I worked at a company before. They put up a vacancy on LinkedIn. Within 24 hours, they had over 400 CVs. The vacancy was up for 1 week. Guess what? By the 24th hour, they started shortlisting CVs already. So within 24 hours, they had seen enough that they liked. The vacancy was still up. People were still applying. They didn't know. Those ones are applying. They didn't know. Some people are already being interviewed. Within the first 24 hours of a vacancy, apply. So that means you need to have good alerts. Okay. Now, what else? You see, I've been through so many job application processes. Only once have I been given enough notice for an interview. All other companies, they will tell you, can you come tomorrow or in 2 days? Only once have I been given about a week's notice. All others, tomorrow, the next day, or the next. They typically have short turnaround times. Short. So you need to be ready. It's not then you start saying, let me go and start getting ready for an interview. Ahead of time, you're getting ready. The interviews are multi-stage interviews. Multi-stage interviews. When my sister applied for a job at Accenture in the year 2009, she went through 5 interview stages. In my current job, I did about 4 tests, 3 interview stages, and a 4th chat with human resources. So there's a lot. So what do I need? I need to make sure my LinkedIn profile is spot on. I need to ensure my CV is tailored, ready for the jobs that I want. I can't work for every company. So I need to shortlist the companies and roles I want to work for ahead of time. And I need to practice for the interviews. I hope this makes sense. Okay? I need to practice for the interviews. So let's talk about LinkedIn. What I've done here is a lot of people say, oh, but LinkedIn is so hard. How do I manage it? There's nothing hard about LinkedIn. See, this one page is LinkedIn. I'm telling you, I will break it down for you, but this one page is all you need to know about LinkedIn. You can take a screenshot of this picture, put it in your pocket, make it your wallpaper too. This is LinkedIn. 10 things that are most important. Number one, I didn't say you use a professional picture. So it's putting a picture up is not even in question here. We are assuming you already know to have a picture. But the important thing here is it needs to be a professional picture. Not a picture of you at home in your nightgown, you in front of the Eiffel Tower, or a selfie with friends. No, a professional picture. If you check me out on LinkedIn, I've got a picture in work clothes, and that picture was not taken at a studio. It was taken in my house by a colleague with my iPhone, just my phone, no camera, nothing. Put on your professional gear, whip out your phone, take a picture, the clear background, and you're good to go. Okay? Now, the second thing is you need to use a headline that captures what you want recruiters to know you for. A lot of people make this mistake with a headline. Right now, they're students, so their headline will say students. No. What do you want recruiters to know you for? You're a student that wants to start a career in engineering. So that's what your headline should say. High school student or aspiring engineering professional or aspiring engineer currently in high school or whatever. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Imagine you used to work in customer service and you wanted to move into HR. Put it there. Customer service executive transitioning into human resources. If you're a student who wants to find a job, put it there. I'm a third-year financial accounting student seeking accounting entry-level roles. Okay? So your headline is what you want to be known for. It's not what you currently are, it's what you want to be known for. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Okay? Number 3, pour your heart out into your bio. I see people's bios very, very, very generic. 4 things. Put your past education and work experience. Put your current responsibilities and achievements. Tell them what your future career trajectory is. And last, the icing on the cake, what is your passion? These 4 things, if you put them in your bio, the recruiter knows enough about you just by reading the bio and can be excited. They're already engaged. They know if they want to call you or not. And you want your bio to let people know who you are, because you don't want people to call you and waste your time. You want the right people to call you. Okay? Make sure you complete your experience. Now, I know that we're young here, so whatever part-time jobs you've done, whatever volunteering, internships, etc., put it on your profile. And any achievements you had there, if you won an award, you created something, completed a project, put it all there. If you've got evidence, include it as an attachment. Okay? And when you get older, don't omit your years of experience because it adds up. Some people have 10 years experience, but they only put their most 2 recent jobs that add up to 5 years. So if they're looking for a manager with 10 years, they won't come up because they've only captured 5 years on their LinkedIn. So it's very important that you do this. Do not omit your years of experience. Make sure it's complete. Of course, put in all your education and every part of your profile. There are things you need to put in, skills, and so on. When you do this, you get an all-star badge. An all-star badge means that your profile is complete and LinkedIn is 40 times more likely to show your profile to people. Get colleagues, bosses, etc., to give you a reference. Get them to write a reference for you on LinkedIn. This shows people who you are and it reassures them of your work ethic. Make sure you include your contact information on LinkedIn. Very important. If somebody likes your profile, how do they reach out to you without the contact information? I typically put my email address. I don't put a phone number because the streets are interesting these days. Okay. And then edit your preferences and create alerts. So if you're looking for accounting jobs, put it in your alerts that you want to know about accounting jobs. If you're looking for a part-time job as a cashier, if you're looking for Sunday school teacher opportunities, etc., put these in your preferences and create alerts for it. There's not a day that I don't log into LinkedIn, honestly. Very important to log in daily to check your messages, check your alerts, and always check your analytics. When you change something on LinkedIn, you want to check that it's being received well. So check your analytics. Is your profile being shown by more people? And so on and so forth. Okay. So what do you do? How do you build your brand on LinkedIn? I tell people post once a week. You don't need to post any more than that. Once a week is sufficient. No matter how young you are, join industry events and speak. Even as a teenager, even as a tween, it's important. You have a voice. Volunteer to speak on panels that are relevant. If you're not speaking and go for an event, raise your hand, ask questions that are relevant. Okay? Volunteer to speak at your church. Take pictures and amplify these key moments. Okay? When you're doing speaking engagements, take pictures, let people know what you've done and amplify it. Okay? Now, this is an example. This is my LinkedIn profile. I just want to show you some things. Now, I've put open to work, but it's only visible to recruiters. You can see it's not on my profile. Okay? And I put in the kind of jobs that I'm interested in. All right? Then this is my dashboard, private. You can go on LinkedIn. If you've not got a LinkedIn profile yet, check out LinkedIn. There is what you call an all-star badge here. This is the badge I spoke about, which lets you know that your profile is complete. If it doesn't mean my profile is the best, it doesn't mean I'm one of the best people on LinkedIn, it just means the profile is complete. And my profile is 40 times more likely to be shown to people than if it wasn't complete. Okay, and these are the job preferences I spoke about. You can put in up to 5 job titles, at least 1, different job titles, but you can see all of mine are marketing related. And then what location? Are you interested in the UK, Japan, Australia? And what type of jobs? Remote, full-time, part-time? You can indicate. Okay, now, this is a very, very important thing on your profile. Yeah, your people also viewed. Some of us don't know what this is. Can you see this pack of gum? If you're looking for gum, what section of a grocery store would you go to? I'm sure you would go to the candy aisle, the confectionery aisle, right? Now, imagine if you saw this. Imagine if it wasn't there. But where you found it was with cereal. It doesn't really make sense, does it? Okay? Your people also viewed is your aisle, your grocery aisle. It's telling you where you are currently found, what aisle you're found on. So I'm a marketing person. If you check my people also viewed, it's mostly marketing people. Does that make sense? So that means I'm found in the marketing aisle. If I checked here and it was all people in engineering, then there's something wrong. It means that people are not finding me in the midst of marketeers. So if you're a finance person, you want to also be seen amongst other finance people. If you're a teacher, amongst other teachers and so on. I hope that makes sense. Yeah? Please let me know if we are still together. Yeah? Okay. So let's talk about the headline. Remember what I said? Think about what you're aiming for, what you want to be found for, and what they are searching for. So let me give you an example. Imagine you're a teacher and you're looking for a teaching job, a science teacher, but in your school, it's fancy. They don't call it a teacher. They call it a higher learning purpose coach. So you are called the higher learning purpose coach for science. If you put higher learning purpose coach in your headline on LinkedIn, people that are searching for science teacher wouldn't find you, would they? So you need to put it in the language that is accepted universally. Okay? Very important. And the way we should remember, what value are you adding? It's important to include that. So this is an example of a headline. It says marketing manager, East and West Africa. So that if they're looking for someone in East Africa, they can find me. West Africa, they can find me. I've also included chartered, in case they're looking for a chartered marketeer. And I've put my key competencies in terms of cross-border innovation, brand management, business growth. And I also included the fact that I am a career development advocate. Okay? Very cool, very key. So look at these headlines. This person says marketing manager at GSK. Instead, why not West Africa marketing manager, driving business and category growth? I speak and train Africans on employability skills. Okay? Check out this admin officer. This admin officer actually wants to move into HR. They're looking for HR jobs, but they can't lie that they're HR professionals. So look at what they've said instead. HR enthusiast with good understanding of reward, recruitment, and talent development. So even if you're switching jobs or if you're trying to go into something you've never done, there's a way to do it. Okay? And in terms of your bio, which is the about, remember what I said, the past, present, future, and your passion. Always think that you're presenting this as though you are a brand. Tell them what you have to offer. Put in the achievements. Make sure your achievements are specific, measurable, and time-bound. You need to be the answer to their question. Remember what I said? Complete your experience profile, all your previous roles, all your achievements, include the attachments, and check. Like I mentioned, you are 40 times more likely to be found when you've got an all-star profile. This is very important. Do not miss out on this. And if you've done volunteering in church, you've done speaking engagements, anything you've done, you're a graphic designer, you're trying to get nice jobs, graphics, you're copywriting, social media management, all of the evidence of that, you can put them on your LinkedIn profile in this section called featured. Just add the plus and add it all there. Gives you an amazing opportunity. And I always say that if you're trying to get a recommendation or reference, do one for another person first and ask them to do it for you too. There's something we say in Nigeria, which is do me, I do you. So do it for somebody else first. Show yourself friendly first. And then ask people to do you one back. How do you stay updated with LinkedIn? The job preferences I showed you, make sure it's up to date. Make sure you have alerts on. And include your contact details and check in every day. Every day. I do not miss checking my LinkedIn profile. not even for a day. Okay? It's very important you track your progress before you make any changes on your LinkedIn profile. Check your number of profile views, check your search appearances, your people also viewed, and who's viewing you before and after, and see if anything changes. Okay? Remember. So make sure you look at those. Okay? Now, before I take any questions, I'd like to share just a little bit about your CV because I think it's important. Just a minute, and let me just have a quick drink. Okay, so when you send your CV, I think it's important to know what happens on the other end. When I used to send my CV, I used to fantasize that, hey, the recruiter is just waiting. Once they get my CV, they open it and they're excited and they're just going to call me. It's something we all hope for, but let me share what actually happens. Sometimes they get 20,000 CVs and they only have 8 interview slots. Now, if a company is getting 20,000 CVs, who is going to go through 20,000 CVs? Nobody. They're using ATS, applicant tracking software. Please write that down. ATS is something that you're going to need to know about. Now, how applicant tracking software, let's even say that it's built using artificial intelligence, right? So you tell the ATS the kind of candidates you want. It scans those 20,000 CVs and picks the best 8 based on what you've told it. What does it do? It just scans those CVs for the keywords. You've told it you want an IT person with graphic design skills, with C++ and Java knowledge. It's going to check for those things on CVs. So guess what? Anybody that has Java that didn't put it on their CV will automatically be zoned out because the applicant tracking software is artificial intelligence, but it's not all knowing. It's not God that is going to say, oh, this person hasn't put Java on their CV, but I know they've got it. So no, it's only going to take you at face value. ATS only accepts certain formats. There's some ATS that do not accept PDF, so you always need to be careful. Okay? Sometimes the company does not use ATS. They're not using ATS, so they're manually checking through CVs. And it's one woman in HR, and she's got 1,000 CVs to review in 2 days. How long do you think she's going to spend on every CV? 6 seconds. She will scan through the CV for keywords and just be deleting the others. Where are my keywords? Java, C++, graphics. If I don't see them, boom, delete. What does that also mean? It means that for some people, they've got Java on their CV, but they haven't put it in bold. And because she's scanning through, she hasn't got time. They haven't put it in their statement at the top. They haven't put it in bold, so she doesn't see it. Because she's only human, remember? So what does that mean? If I know that Madam HR is going to scan through 1,000 CVs in a day or two, I've got to make her job easy. I've got to know the keywords she's looking for, make sure they are in my bio, and make sure that I've underlined them and used bold to make them pop out of my CV. When she's done with the shortlist, she will then check her shortlist of, let's say, 20 CVs for the best ones and invite those ones to the interview. When she's doing the invites, guess what? Sometimes a conscious or unconscious bias may come into play. And this is where, when you're sending your CV, you send your CV, with prayer. I always pray, angels of the living God, go ahead of my CV and perfect all that concerns it. I pray over my applications because somebody might say, oh, well, I don't like people with this name. I don't like people with this. I don't like people from this university. So I just pray. There's some biases you can hide, like your age, your marital status, and some you cannot hide. So I say, God, please let the blood of Jesus speak on my behalf and protect me. Okay? Now, here are some of the things that some of us are doing wrong. when it comes to our CV, sending out the same CV for every single vacancy, using a generic personal statement, more than pages, 3 pages. I've seen CVs with 6 pages, 8 pages, and I say it is well with you. Sending out CVs with errors and typos. Some applicant tracking software is automatically programmed to spit out CVs with errors. Putting personal information on your CV, like your full address, your date of birth, things like that, not necessary. Having a generic skills list without substantiating it. So people put things like Microsoft Office, Java, first aid. Some of them are not necessary to the job they're applying for, and some of them are not substantiated. For some of us, we're looking for a career switch, but not tailoring our CV to show why we're switching and not justifying why. Most people don't include keywords that match the vacancy. When you look at any vacancy on LinkedIn or otherwise, you're supposed to look at the keywords in the job description, check that you have them, you do, then make sure they are on your CV. A lot of people don't include achievements on their CV. Remember, you're competing with thousands of other people. You need to stand out. Okay. A lot of people don't tailor their skills to the vacancy. The vacancy has clearly told you they want somebody with good stakeholder management, somebody with presentation skills. However, you've refused to put that on your CV. Every time I need to send my CV for a vacancy, I spend 10 to 20 minutes just getting it right. I have a CV already. My CV is good. It's a marketing CV, it's great. However, when I see a job vacancy, I then need to tailor it to that job vacancy. And that's what a lot of us are not spending time doing. And it's very important. Those 20 minutes can be the difference between your dream job and getting a rejection. Okay? So that's me done. We have an extra 10 minutes for the questions. So rather than 30 minutes, we have about 40 minutes for any questions. And if you'd like me to show anything, because sometimes in Q&A, I do demos. So if there's anything you'd like me to demo as well, I would really love that. Thank you. Please shoot your questions and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you. Madam HR, I'm just seeing. Thanks, Blessing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Toyo. Thank you so much for the awesome session that you had with us. Please, if you have questions, feel free to ask questions. Do you mind helping us check, review some LinkedIn profiles, probably 1 or 2?
Sure.
Okay, so if you'd like Mrs. Fiyin Toyo to help review your profile live, if you don't mind, you can please signify and let us know. One question while we're waiting for that, so we pick from first 2 people to drop their LinkedIn profile. We'll review it. So, like, what do you think about getting people to help you write your CV? Like, you just want a professional to help you write your CV, and then when they help you write it, then you can probably go on to tailor it to like job applications subsequently. What do you advise about that? Is it advisable to get professionals to help you write your CV?
Okay, so I'm going to be very open and honest here and say, if you do that, do it because you know how to do it already, but maybe you don't have the time or you just want a professional to look at it. However, just like you said, Mr. Folks, is that going forward, you will tailor it to every vacancy. Now, let me share something with you. I'd empower you and I'm just being very open and vulnerable, we have hired almost 10 CV writers. Guess why? Every single one. I'm not even joking. I'm just being honest. Because when they do the CV, then they send to me, I have to review and approve. And there's so many spelling errors, so many mistakes. I'm just like, now wow. So what you find, and I've seen people reach out to me, say, I paid 20,000 naira, 30,000 naira for a CV writer, and I get it, and I'm just seeing mistakes. So what I find is that a lot of CV writers, and I can only speak for Nigeria, are not even as great. They still have a lot of grammatic errors and so on. Remember that it's a job. And how many of them will have spirit of excellence? So if you're going to do that, just make sure you grammar check, you proofread, and do everything that you need to do. And tailor it after every vacancy. Yep. Okay. So there's a LinkedIn profile in the chat. Do you mind if I go through it now?
Yes. That's the first one.
Let me share my screen so we can follow along together. Thank you, Madam Blessing, for sharing with us. Okay. So Blessing says, Global Talent Acquisition Specialist, hiring software engineers and technical professionals. So automatically, I know what she is. She's an HR lady that focuses on recruitment, acquiring talent in the company, and she focuses on people within tech, engineering, and so on. So very specific. So me as a candidate, it's easy for me to connect with her. She and even as a professional, if I'm looking for recruiters. Now, look at people also viewed. Recruitment, talent acquisition, talent operations, recruitment. I mean, she's in the right aisle in the grocery shop. Absolutely. So she's being branded as a recruitment specialist, as an HR specialist, which is great. Okay. Now, let's look at her about. This about is qualified, innovative. I think it needs more meat, like we said. So past, present, future, and passion point. So the about can be worked on. However, headline is good. The picture is also good. The presence of a picture looks professional. It looks nice. You know, the next thing is the experience. So she's put where she's currently working, her previous roles, she's put skills, all of that. That's really nice. The only thing that I could say is, are there any attachments she could add? You know, it would be nice to have some attachments. Now, let's go to education. I may be wrong, but it looks like this is not complete. It shows bachelor's degree July 2024. This seems to be wrong. So basically it looks like there's no completed degree at the moment. So I think this needs to be worked on as well. Licenses and certificates, projects, skills. Okay, these are HR related skills, which is good. And you've got 49 of them. Cool. Recommendations, it will be good for you to get some recommendations just to you know, add some credibility to the profile. Overall, I would say this is a good profile that is good, but can be optimized by making this about better, including some attachments of work done within the job roles. Also within, you can create a featured profile to do that. That's nice. Yeah, I think it's good. Yep. So well done to Lesson. I would give it a 7.
Oh.
Yeah. I've done a lot of live LinkedIn reviews, and I have to say, if I'm being very honest, this is a really good LinkedIn profile to a lot of the ones that I've had to do live before.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think somebody's asking, but I think that question has been answered. If you
Okay.
can shed more light on it. Person is asking how many pages should a CV be?
Sure. Okay, no worries. And just one more thing. Sorry, Blessing. Your work says you are in the US. I don't know if it's remote, but your location says Lagos. So it might be good just to clarify on your profile. If you're in the US, just so that other US companies can reach out to you because they see Lagos State, Nigeria, they may not. Yeah. So in terms of the CV, okay, remote. Okay, that's fine. 2 pages, please. No more than 2 pages. Yep. And then somebody will say, but I have so much work experience. I got my first job in 2007. This is, yep, I've been working since 2007. We're in 2023. So, I mean, 16 years later, my CV is still 2 pages. There's some MDs that are 55. I've seen their CVs. Some of them even have 1-page CVs, 2-page CVs. So,
Wow.
Yep. No, the important thing is to put the important things. That's the important thing about a CV. It's not everything, yeah, just the key elements.
Sorry, since there's no person, I think I'll share my link as well. Do you mind?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Let's check out Mr. Ojo. Let's see what's popping. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting myself on the hot seat.
Awesome. So I like this cover photo. It already, when I look at it, I can tell, okay, maybe this is an engineer or something. So it depicts what he does for a living. The picture, he's dressed professionally, good smile, really good. Okay, and then the headline says in Christ, PhD students in mech eng, aerosols, atmospheric science, aerospace, HVAC and R, visionaire. Okay, carriesfolks.org. Okay, and the location is there. So this is really good. And then he's also done government ID verification, which also gives me, if I'm looking at him, confidence to say, okay, this is like a real person. I'm seeing a lot of people on the right that are also PhD fellows here. There's a graduate research assistant. There's another MSc Mech Eng. There is research fellow. So these are all scholars or people in engineering, which means that you are being profiled the right way. Let's see. Wow, the about. Okay. So I know an empower you person when I see them. This is
Yeah.
nah, absolutely. So this is Rich. He's an engineering professional with research, development, digital marketing, etc. skills. Currently pursuing his PhD, okay, in Mech Eng at North Dakota. His ultimate goal is to develop affordable, innovative, and green solutions. Wow. Goal inspired by the UN's Sustainable Development Goals 7 and 9. Like, I know who he is. It's clear. He's an engineering and professional. He's doing his PhD now. I know what he wants to be in the future. Okay, and these are his specialties. Great. As somebody in marketing, I don't understand all of this, but an engineering person that is recruiting or whatever can get it. Okay. And he's told us what he did his senior project on. His experiences are in so. Okay. And then he gives us a rundown of his work experience. He's told us his ultimate goal and what he loves doing. I mean, I have a full overview of who he is just by looking at this. Oh, wow. Then I can go into his feature. He has put in, this is purpose work that he's doing. This is dry reforming of methane with CO2 over CO etc oxides. Wow. So this is probably like a, let's see, a research paper that he's done. Okay. Wow. I'm already like, this gentleman is very serious. Okay. Then he did a conference presentation that was recorded. So this is, I mean, this is a serious engineer, serious PhD student that is very pedantic. He's got a lot here. I'm very convinced just by looking at his featured. Okay. And then he's letting me know. So clearly, his previous role ended in December 2022. And instead of letting me wonder what he's doing, he's put his experience here. I mean, like, he's not even allowing me to ask questions at this point. Okay. Previous work experience as well. Okay. So the only questions that I would have would be, in these different roles, what were you doing? That's the first thing that I'm seeing that needs to be added is, what was actually done? What did the job entail? What were your achievements? Really, and that's basically what needs to be added. Initially, I was also feeling like February 2022, November 2019, there's such a big gap. But by coming down, I can see that those were internships when he was doing his BTech. So there's no gap actually. It's clear. He's done some licensing and certifications, he's volunteering, which is amazing as well. He's got great skills, technical support, AI, project management. Let's see the rest of them. Customer service, Digimark. Okay. So there's a lot of service skills. What I would say is that your most relevant to engineering, like your HVAC design, your cooling water, carrier HAP, all of those things, air conditioning, should be at the top. The most relevant should be the ones showing, because not everybody is going to show all skills. So I would say the most relevant ones to engineering, bring them to the top so that they see. And he's got 2 references as well. He's got his languages, his organizations and whatnot. Good profile. The only thing that I would say is your experience. You need to beef it up and then reorder your skills list. So this is actually a really good profile. I'm sure you should be getting traction in this. I would say this profile is, if not for your experience that was missing, this would have been a 10. So I would give this profile, and that experience is very, very key. So I would give this an 8.5 to a 9 because the experience bits really need to be there. And then just reorder your skills. But this is really good. Yeah.
No, thank you very much, ma'am.
You're
So
welcome.
final question: How do you how do you control the people you may know section? Does it happen automatically or?
So this, input and output for those that study engineering or even body or whatever. It's like, how do I control the number I see on the scale when I weigh myself? I can't change the number on the scale. What I can do is control what I eat, exercise, and hope that my body starts to take those changes. So that's exactly what happens with your profile. You see, the more your headline is, it really starts with the headline. So the more succinct and clear your headline is, when people are looking for, let's say, PhD student, you come up, then somebody like a Mohammed Shamsuddin will come up, other people like that will come up. So you'll find that people are looking at you and all those others, So that's typically what happens. The stronger your profile is, the more that happens. Now, let me also say this so that people don't get scared. Sometimes there will be a shift in your profile. So I'll give an example. If I do a speaking engagement at a conference with other speakers, during the time that that conference is being promoted, you might see me alongside. You might not see other marketing people. You might now see other people that spoke at that event because people are searching for me. Once they are done searching for me, they now go to those people. Do you get? So sometimes your profile might skew, but in general, what you should be seeing is marketing people in general, or your engineering people, or your accounting people in general. You know, and this is an example. This is my profile. You see, this person is marketing lead, brand manager, which is marketing, brand manager. This is a global chartered marketeer, head of marketing, lots of marketing people. This one is a business head. So this is an anomaly, then a CFO, marketing. But when I do those speaking engagements, I see my profile swing a little bit and I know what has happened. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you have questions, please ask. We can still spare like 5 minutes thereabout. So someone is asking, how do we get the government verification done on our LinkedIn profiles?
How do you get, so with your verification? So for example, I don't have government verification. I think it's available in certain markets. So maybe Mr. Joe can tell us, but I'll give you an example. There is the one I did that was important for me was this workplace one. So a lot of people, this is new, a lot of people on LinkedIn
Wow.
that they work they say they work somewhere,
Yeah,
but it's not true. So there's now this thing that started where you can actually verify where you work. So that was actually, I just got the option. It showed up on my profile, and I did it. How did I do it? I just put my email address. Sorry, I just put edit. I put the email address, and it gave me the opportunity to have an email sent to myself, and then I verified it from the work email, and that was it, basically. But please, Mr. Ojo, can you just walk us through the government verification? Because I think that's available in certain markets, not all, but please share.
Yeah, that actually popped up as well for me. I just popped up. I thought it was like that for every account.
Yeah.
It just popped up, and then I clicked on it and navigated me to upload my passport, and then yeah, that was how I got that done.
Fantastic. Okay. So even the workplace verification will, pop up as well for some people. I urge you to do it. A lot of people are doing it now, So very, very key.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, someone. Oh, okay. Let me read this question. So the person is asking, when applying for a job, which is best to submit to the hiring manager, a CV or a resume?
Okay. Sorry, just a minute before I answer that.
Okay.
So in terms of the verifications, your work email verification is available globally for select companies. The government ID verification, like the one Ms. Ojo has, is available in the US to members, and it's also available in India. So it's not in Nigeria or the UK at the moment. So that's why for some of you might not be able to see it unless you are in those markets. Yeah. So that's why Mr. Ojo can see it, but I cannot see it and you cannot. Okay. So for the question around which one should I send, resume or CV? So typically, the history is that a resume used to be a one-page summary of your work experience and your background, while the CV is longer, is your 2 pages that has experience, certificates, publications, etc. That's the history of resume versus CV. So resume was a shorter version. However, in more recent times, those words are used interchangeably, where they mean the same thing. So, for example, in the UK, there is nothing like a resume. It's a CV. Some people will call it a resume, but it's a CV. But I know in the US, there is a big difference between a resume and a CV, right? So let me say this. If you're applying for a job, you want to put your best foot forward. So I advise that people send their complete document, which is the CV. So your 2 pages that encompasses everything about your experience, your skills, your academic qualifications, everything. So your CV, 2 pages. Hope that's helpful.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think we don't have any more questions. Really appreciate having you join us, Mrs. Toyo.
Mm,
I'm going to work on the corrections made on my profile.
absolutely.
I'm going to work on that. Actually, I wanted to say that my profile, I was able to work on that profile from one of the free webinars that you had. Um, can't remember. I think that was in 2020 or
Oh,
2021.
wow.
And yeah, and so like after I did that, I got contacted by recruiters,
Amazing.
international recruiters. Yeah, and
Wow.
like we had like interview session, and they had this. I aced the interview, and then they gave me like um this task, and I just want to share this. One of the applications that one of the um recruiters that contacted me, they actually gave me a task, and then the task involved a data analysis
Mm,
stuff. And because I didn't have expertise with data analysis, I aced the interview, but I couldn't proceed because I didn't have
mm,
expertise with data analysis, and so I wasn't able to ace that. So it's a good thing when you have a good profile. A good profile, it will always help you. LinkedIn works.
mm,
LinkedIn works sincerely because I have also experienced it firsthand. And like recruiters can contact you through LinkedIn. And then when they contact you, ensure that you are ready for the opportunity as well. It's very important that you are ready for the opportunity. Um, it's been a pleasure having you, Mrs. Fiyin Toyo. We're really grateful. Everybody's comments are jumping here and there. The session has been really exciting and innovative for us. Really appreciate having you here. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the insights as well. Um, so the next session, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to pause this session. The next session will start in 15 minutes. It's for those that want to learn about like freelancing job opportunities and international, all those kind of things. We have um, someone who's an expert in that area coming up in the next 15 minutes for that. So don't put up your data. I don't know. There's something about Nigerians are putting up their mobile data. Yeah. So please just stay glued. Just stay tuned. Um, we're going to continue. I'm going to continue in the next 15 minutes. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. Thank you also, Mrs. Fain.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
God
much.
bless you.
Yeah.
Enjoy the
Yeah.
rest of the
Bye.
session. Bye.
Yeah.